I want you to imagine for just a minute that you are in a maze. And in that maze, maybe it's a game show for you, maybe it's a cartoon, maybe it's a hidden forest. I don't know, whatever works for you. And you're given three doors and you have to choose a door. You don't know what's behind it. What's behind it, each door is more doors and different opportunities. And those opportunities change based upon the decisions that you make right now. We don't always realize it, but that's the way that our life works. Every single moment that we have leads us to the next moment, and that moment leads us to the next. I was at a conference in Dallas that you're going to hear a little bit more about in this episode, where that statement was said to me, and all of a sudden, it made sense. That we're constantly making choices, and those choices create other opportunities for us. Those moments and how we respond in those moments create other moments. Everything's tied together. So my question is, where are your choices leading? My name is Amber Fuhriman, and this is the More Than Corporate podcast. As always, I'm live streaming this to my Facebook group, the Success Center. If you want to be able to have first access to these interviews and also be able to be involved in this conversation as we're having it, head over to Success Center, request to join, and let's get you connecting with people and having moments that will lead to other moments. Welcome to the More Than Corporate podcast. I'm Amber Fuhriman, recovering perfectionist and serial accomplisher. If you're anything like I used to be, you've been living your life thinking that if you accomplish enough stuff, you'll finally find the success you've always wanted. But what if it's not about accomplishing more stuff? What if it's about accomplishing the right stuff? I believe you don't find success, you create it by intentionally designing the life you want and having the courage to get out of your comfort zone to live your design. I went from doing what I was supposed to do to doing what I love to do, and now I get to help others do the same. Keep listening as I chat with inspiring people who make it their mission to live their best life every day and learn how you too can live the life you've always wanted. What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. I'm super excited to jump on. I know that I haven't been extremely consistent with the lives that I wanted to do. I am streaming this to my private Facebook community as well as my personal page. And I just got back from this amazing conference in Texas, hosted by Brandon Straza, sponsored by the Success Finder. And if you don't know, the Success Finder is this amazing tool where coaches can be connected with individuals that are looking for a mastermind, and you have that, you cut through the bullshit of what should I be looking for? Is this person trustworthy? All of those amazing things. So Brandon has this amazing opportunity to really help people get in touch with the people that they need to in order to have the success they want. It's not the purpose of this live, though. I'm just super supportive of what Brandon's doing. I think that it's needed and is going to make a huge impact. So I just got back from this conference in Texas, and I had the opportunity to connect with people that I haven't connected with before. It was a new circle for me. I feel like the last few years I've been going to conferences, and they've been the bigger conferences that so many people from different circles are going to, or the smaller conferences that are hosted by my people, my family in this world. And this was a great opportunity for me to meet some other people, to get out of my comfort zone, to, push that boundary of what you've heard me talk about before as fake uncomfortable, where we do things that used to be uncomfortable for us, and now they're not anymore. So we convince ourselves that we're being uncomfortable when we're really not. So I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the most powerful takeaways that I had from this conference. And the one that I'm going to focus on today was a statement that was made by Jeff Moore in the very beginning of this conference. So just to give a little bit of backstory, I mentioned that there's a lot of people at this conference that I hadn't met before. Well, when you're in a room with people that you've never met before, and you know that you have at least a commonality in somebody who invited you, what's the first question that you normally ask? How do you know Brandon, right? So I got asked this question, and the first time I was asked it, I had to actually step back and think, where did I actually meet Brandon for the first time? Because at this point, we're in so many different circles together that our paths have crossed so much. And it took me a minute to trace back to where was that first moment where I met him, and then where was the next moment that I chose to interact with him, and what actually led to the friendship, the business relationship, the supportive entrepreneurial friendship that we have now. So I'm sitting and the answer to that, by the way, in case anybody's curious, is build your network through Travis Chappell's online group, and then Build Your Network Live is where we connected in person for the first time. So I'm sitting at this conference, and Jeff Moore gets up, and he's one of the first speakers, and he says, every single moment brought us to this moment, and this moment will bring us to the next. And I felt like that was something that we all know. How often do we actually think about it, right? How often do we actually take the time to acknowledge that the opportunities that we have today, the things that we're able to do today, the people that we know today, we know and we have those opportunities and we're able to do those things because of choices that we made in the past that led us to this moment. And there's so many different ways that this ties into the opportunities that I have now and the life that I have now. And I'm sure that when you think about it, it will be the same for you. I mean, I have been very open about the fact that in 2016, I had this mental breakdown, for lack of a better word, and really had to reevaluate my life choices, had to figure out why I was choosing the career path that I chose. How did I get to where I was, and what was I going to do about healing the trauma that I needed to heal in order to move on and have the life that I had always wanted and that success that I had always wanted. In trying to answer that question, I wanted to do something that was outside of the norm for me, something that was completely different. I needed something that didn't have any emotional attachment to my life. And a really good friend of mine invited me to a boot camp, invited me to work out. I'm talking an actual physical boot camp, not the mental boot camps that we now host, a workout in the park. And I accepted that invitation to go work out, which led me to meeting some very fitness-minded people, which led me to meeting Corey, my obstacle course trainer, which led to Tough Mudder and World's Toughest Mudder, which arguably is the biggest confidence booster that I've had and led to me opening my law firm. Now, the other type of boot camp, that success boot camp that I went to, I accepted an invitation from Dawn to go to this success boot camp. That was my introduction to the way that the mind works, the way we're standing in our own way, what I could do to finally create the life I wanted. That led to NLP, which led to more sales in my business and better relationships with my friends and family, and an opening up of this passion that I have for helping others get out of their own way so that they can have the success in life that they've always wanted. Going back even further, accepting an invitation from one of my best friends from high school to try a constitutional law elective with her led to me deciding to go to law school at a time where I felt so lost and didn't think that I had any direction on where I was going to go. That led to me moving across the country, meeting people from different areas. You know, I hadn't traveled a lot up until that point. I had traveled with my school group. I had traveled with my family. Up to that point, I hadn't really traveled alone. I hadn't traveled to meet people and explore. And that was a way for me to start to meet people from all different backgrounds and expand my perception of what's possible and what the world is like. I'm accepting an invitation to attend my first business conference, Thrive, that led to meeting podcast hosts that were making money on that were connecting, that were speaking, that were living a life and making a living and having a business in a way that I didn't know even existed. Accepting an invitation to post a connection Calendly link in a Facebook group led to jumping on a call with Michael Faber, which led to a flight to Delaware and a conference where I realized that I wanted to be a speaker for the first time. That led to this continued friendship and family relationship that we have at this point in time. I know that if I ever needed anything from Michael and his supportive family, And by family, I'm talking all of the business relationships in his life and the Unleash You Now community. I know that they would be here for me in a heartbeat. And that's been proven. I mean, I talked about it in a few episodes back that Michael flew across the country when I put my dog down just to have dinner or breakfast with me. Like that was it. He was here for, I think, a day and a half. That those types of relationships get built because we make a choice. And I could go on and on about how the things that I have now are directly tied to a specific choice that I made in the past. What does that look like for you? When you start to think about what you're proud of now, about the relationships that you're happy with, about the opportunities that you have personally, professionally, spiritually, relationally, what are those tied back to? What choices did you make that may have been out of the norm for you? What decisions did you make? What opportunities did you have? What moments led to the moment that you're in right now? Conversely, what don't you like about your life? And what moments led to that? What decisions did you make that created the circumstances that you're in right now? And how do you make choices and decisions to change that? This is what we're talking about when we say design your life. No, you can't, under any circumstances, predict the future, right? It's like you're in this maze and you have three doors, right? We've all seen those on game shows. You have three doors that you get to choose to go through. You pick a door, and then based upon which door you pick, a bunch of other doors open up. And if you would have picked a different door, you would have had different opportunities. One of my absolute favorite movies is the movie Frequency, with Dennis Quaid. And it's the movie where Dennis Quaid is the father that passes away, and they learn to talk through they learn to talk through the radio, and he in the now is talking to his dad in the past, and he tells him how to avoid dying. Well, the moment that he avoids the decisions that led to dying, everything else in his life changes. Right? It's that reality that every decision that we have made, every opportunity that we've gone through, good or bad, has led to who we are, the connections we have now, the opportunities that we have now. And even when we think that life isn't really the way that we want it to be, we don't realize how good we have it till it's gone, right? So the moment that changes, this is what we miss. I used to live my life so much believing that I had to say yes to everything. I felt like I couldn't say no to anything. I needed all of the opportunities. I needed to give myself every chance that I could to be successful. Well, sometimes giving yourself every chance that you can to be successful doesn't mean saying yes to everything. It means saying yes to the right things. Saying yes to the things that are going to move you closer to your goals. But you can't answer that question of what's going to move me closer to my goals if you don't know where you're starting and you don't know where you're going. This is why it gets so important. I always go back to this amazing TED Talk that I listened to by Rory Vaden. And in that, there's so many amazing things. It's called Procrastinate on Purpose. And it's a time management, creating time. How do you multiply your time? And it's fantastic. There's something that he says in that podcast, though, that has become a driving force in my life. He says, we are always saying no to something. You may live your life thinking that you don't want to say no to things, but every time you say yes to something, you are saying no to an infinite amount of other things. Go back and think about those doors that you're standing in front of. Every time you say yes to one door, you're saying no to the other two. The challenge and opportunity and exciting position that we're put in is to do our best to decide which doors are going to move us in the right direction. I talk a lot about how proud I am of law school and how proud I am of my career, and that I don't regret it at all. Even if I do end up transitioning out of the legal field, I don't regret it at all because it created who I am and the opportunities that I have now. If I never said yes to those things, then I wouldn't have been able to say yes to the things that I'm saying yes to now. However, We get addicted to accomplishments. We finish things and we get this dopamine high that goes through our body where we think that because we're feeling that temporary success that we are successful in getting closer to our goals until we're not. And we realize how far away we are from the life that we actually wanted. It's so important to constantly reevaluate, are the choices that I'm making going in the direction that I want them to go? Are they, is this, yes, like a shiny object? Like, sure, it'll be fun right now. It'll be great right now. Is it going to move me closer to what I want to go to? And, we don't always know. So we do the best that we can. And along the process, we meet amazing people. And even if that event that you chose to go to, or that conference you chose to go to, or that connection call you chose to get on, or that move that you chose to make across the country, or that decision to jump out of your 9 to 5 and start that side hustle and that business that you've been wanting to do. Even if all of those things don't get you exactly where you want to go, they bring you to that next moment that brings you to the next one, that brings you to the next one. And this is why I resonated so much with Jeff's statement that every single moment brought us to this moment, and this moment will bring us to the next. What moments are you creating in your life? What are you saying yes to? What are you saying no to? What do you have in your life because you said yes? Ask yourself these questions and see what type of an answer you get. And then ask yourself if you're going in the direction you want to go. And if not, what opportunities can you accept? What invitations can you accept to change that direction, to open up new moments for yourself? This is what we mean when we say that you have the ability to design the life that you've always wanted. And then you owe it to yourself to get out of your comfort zone to live it, not only to yourself, but to your friends and your family and the people that you are meant to impact in the world that will not have the opportunity to hear your message and to be impacted by your gifts unless you say yes to the things that matter. I'm so grateful to have all of you guys. Every single connection that I have has impacted my life mainly positively in one way or another. And even the ones that aren't always positive are lessons that I get to learn. Are you ready to step into your power and design your best life? It's been amazing talking to you guys, and I look forward to connecting again soon. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the More Than Corporate podcast. If anything that was said during this episode resonated with you or provided value in any way, it would mean the world to me if you would head over to iTunes and leave a rating and review for the More Than Corporate podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time to do that. I'm really looking forward to connecting with you. If you'd also like to connect, I've created a Facebook group that is full of amazing people who also make it their mission to live their best life every single day. If that sounds like something that you're interested in, the name of that Facebook group is Success Center. Head over there, request to join, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.